Then I will start sharing my screen. And you should see now the PowerPoint presentation, which I start here. So now we can start. Welcome to CCD-Guide 2023. I have already mentioned, okay, that we record the presentation for possible publication. And the first slide is a short overview of the project for those who are not familiar with CCD-Guide. It's a project of Astronomischer Arbeitskreis Salzkammergut, an astronomy club in Austria. We publish CCD-Guide each year since already 1997. And we have two big pillars of the CCD-Guide project. On the one hand, we have many images, more than 5,000 images from 56 astrophotographers. And on the other hand, we have a big software platform with a lot of features. For example, deep sky object database, viewing of object data, image data, and preview image at the same time, filtering of images, create slideshows, input of your own images, object tools for planning and object searches, and so on. And it's running on usual Windows 7 system, starting with Windows 7. If you want to have more information, I recommend to have a look at ccdguide.com. I have two tips where you can look at ccdguide.com. You find at the About menu, a sub-menu, which is called Help and Tutorials. And here you can find introductory videos for those who are starting with CCD-Guide. I have to mention in this presentation, we will focus on the highlights, on the new things of CCD-Guide. And so for those who are new to CCD-Guide, it's recommended to have a look at these videos and also on the presentation which I gave last year, the presentation 2022. There we got an overview over all features of CCD-Guide, but the focus on this presentation will be the new things because it's a question of time that I cannot show all features of CCD-Guide in time. Then another tip is look at the FAQs on CCD-Guide. If you have a question, there are 30 frequently asked questions, and you get an answer. For this example here, how can I download the images? You get a description with screenshots and so on. It's also quite helpful. If you have any questions, anytime you can ask the question, maybe also use the chat. I try to answer the questions as it makes sense from the timeline. Yes, then the first question, what's new in CCD-Guide 2023? Let's start first with our new astrophotographers. We have 3 new astrophotographers in our team, Kai Oliver Detken, Christoph Flickseder, and Reintraud Weißenecker. Then have a look at the images. We have 363 new images, all images of a very high quality, many new objects. It's important for us that we select specially images of objects where we do not have reference images. And so we have now from more than 3,300 objects reference images. And to give you a quiet overview, I have selected 10 images which I want to present here from the new images. The first one is an image of Christoph Flickseder. It's a well-known region. It's Barnard 175 plus VDB 152, a reflection and dark nebula region with also some emission nebulosity and a planetary nebula. And this is also used at the cover image. It's one of our newcomers in our team. Christoph is new in this year. Then another example is a nice field of dark nebula by Hannes Bachleitner, LDN 604. Not so often, not well-known region. Then, of course, our comet specialist, Gerald Rehmann, delivers always his best comet images. In this case, it's Comet C2021A1, better known as Leonard, a comet which was present in the last year. Then Thomas Henne is also one of our famous photographers. He's well known for very deep images. In this image, he shows us Cederblatt 51, a reflection nebula embedded in a lot of emission nebulosity. Günther Kerschuber shows us here a very high resolved globular cluster. It's Messier 15. Then our team, Franz Klauser and Manfred Wasshuber, are well known for capturing especially galaxies and interacting galaxies. And here they show us ARP 27.8. Markus Blauensteiner and Oliver Schneider captured Barnard 204 at the Garberg Observatory, a very deep image. It's a dark nebulosity in Taurus. Or from the southern sky, we have also many pictures, many images. This one was captured by Herbert Walter. It's NGC 2451, a very nice open star clusters from the southern hemisphere. Or Tommy Navratil, this is one of my famous images, which I like very much. It's GAM12. Most of us don't really know that GAM12 is that big. It's really big. It's much bigger than the Large Magellanic Cloud. And this image shows, this Whitefield image shows this nebula very well. But also very exotic images are in our portfolio. We have here an image of a supernova remnant by Martin Wusterholz. It's supernova remnant G082.2 plus 05.3. You can see here the O3 emission nebulosity. This is the supernova remnant embedded in H alpha emission in Cygnus. And also a very nice impression of Konstantin von Boschinger, NGC 6188, also from the southern sky. Okay, this was a short overview, some examples that you have an idea which images we have. We have a very bright portfolio of images, and this is our idea for the new images. Let's come now to the software. Let's start first with 3 slides, which I have already shown in 2020, but I think this is important for starters and beginners. How is the download working? How can you get the software? How do you get images, and how do you get updates? So there are 3 slides. First, the download. CCD-Guide is delivered as download in our web shop. You can buy CCD-Guide, and then you get an email with a link, and you can download then a zip file with approximately 36 megabytes, and this contains the complete software. You extract then the software, and you can, with the software, you can download the images. The images has a size of approximately 10 gigabytes. So it depends, of course, on your internet connection, how long it needs. Starting 10 minutes up to several hours, depends on your connection. If you have a really slow internet connection, there's also a possibility to buy a USB stick with 16 gigabytes. But we have to mention that we can only deliver it to Europe except UK because of customs problems and things like that. So we really prefer or recommend to use the download. The download is the easiest way to get CCD-Guide. Then let's come to the software. If you have now the CCD-Guide software installed, you have simply to extract the zip file, and then you can start. Then you will see first, you will start the CCD-Guide exe, this blue window here. This is the central software navigator for CCD-Guide. You can start here by clicking on the buttons, the main applications. This is the browser and the expert. With these 2 tools, you can browse through the database, can have a look at the images, filter the images and the objects. And with the expert, you can input your own images, your own objects, and your planning. With The object tracker, object marker, and viewer, these are the object tools. Here you have the possibility to get an idea what is the best time for observing an object, and you can, with the object marker, you can make a plate solve of an image, and you can also annotate the image. Yes, what is important? Important is if the update process, some words for this, if there you see an I symbol here, then it means that we have an update available. And if you want to download the update, you can simply go to the utilities, click on this button here, and then you have several options. Choose the last one, update button, and then you simply click update, and then the update is running. The software and the files are downloaded, and if it's finished, you get update completed, and that's it. So this is a quite simple process of updating. Yes, and the images, how can you download the images? Also the same procedure as already in 2022. It's a procedure which works quite well and quite robust. If you start the browser the first time, there automatically starts the image downloader image. You can also start the image downloader image. If you click on the file button, you find image downloader, and this image appears. And with this image, you simply have to click start, then the process of download is starting. You can stop it with the pause button and continue at any time. You can close it and start it later. It depends on you. If you have a slow internet connection, you can also let it run in the background and let it work overnight or whatever. So it's a quite easy process. And if it's finished, you have download all 6,000 images, then you are finished. So that's the same procedure as 2022. Now we come to the new features. What is new in 2023? First, let's start with the new folder structure. The folder structure, we have redesigned it, and it has two advantages. The first one is, of course, for the programmers, for the software developers, it's better for maintainability. And the second one is also important for the users. It will be easier for the annual update. If you put your own data, which your user data, to the next release, it's easier. I will show it in detail. All exe files are now in the root directory, so this makes searching for some applications much more easier. Simply go in the root directory of CCD-Guide and you will find all exe file, all applications. But usually you need only to start the CCD-Guide exe, because if you start the CCD-Guide exe, this is our blue window, you have access to all applications. So you only need this starting of CCD-Guide exe. Then let's have a look at the folder structure more in detail. You find several subfolders, and interesting for you is the folder user data. In this user data, if you click on user data, you find several files inside, files which they are already in the 2022 release, but now there are also more subfolders and also more files here. The reason is all files which are written by the expert are here, but also the files from the object tracker. So the locations which you input in the object tracker, the horizontal files, and also catalogs which you have exported. Everything here is in the user data. That means if you have in the next update in 2024, for example, you can simply you can simply copy the user data folder and put it in the new CCD-Guide folder, and then all your own data are transferred to the new release. It will be easier in the next releases. Okay, then one last tip. For the folder structure, there's a new output folder. You find here an output folder. And in this folder, we put all temporary results. That means if you have object marker started and you created an annotated image or something else, you have JPEG compress or whatever used, you will find it in the output. And all files which you can find in the output can be deleted if you like, or you know where you have to look at the results, where you can find results. from CCD-Guide. Then the next feature, which is new, is the central color scheme switching. You find here in the CCD-Guide main window a white square. And if you click on this square, then the color scheme is changes from a bright color scheme to a dark scale. And this is done for all applications. So not only for the object tracker, but also for the browser, the object marker, the object viewer. Only the expert does not work with the color scheme, but all other applications can be switched with one button from dark to white. Then what is also new in the browser, this is a very interesting feature. We have two new planetariums for the browser and the expert. For those who have used planetarium already, they know where to find it, but I want to explain it. You open the browser first and you go to the options. And in the options, you find a lot of things which you can change here from settings. And if you go to the planetarium section, you can find here different planetarium programs which you can choose. You can choose the Sky 6, the Sky X, Sky Chart, also known as Carte du Ciel, Guide 9, and Object Sky and Stellarium. These two are new. So in the release 2022, we had this 4 planetariums, and now we have also the Object Sky and Stellarium. Stellarium is a very well-known program, which many astrophotographers are using, and Object Sky is something completely new. It was developed by Hartmut Bornemann, and it is an integral part of CCD-Guide. So you get Object Sky delivered with CCD-Guide. And what can you do with this? If it's set here, then you can go in the browser in the Actions button. This is this button with the 3 arrows here, and you choose Planetarium. And then this means that the active data row, the active object, is opened in the planetarium. So if you have data, you have an image of M45, for example, and you click on planetarium, then your preferred planetarium, this you have selected, opens with M45. And the same is also in the expert, the same feature is there. Yes, then we come to Object Sky. Object Sky is the planetarium inside of CCD-Guide. It's fully integrated. It's already installed. If you extract the zip file, you can see here a screenshot. It's have all functions of a classical planetarium program and even more. You can start it with 3 different options. Either you can use it in the object tracker by clicking on the planetarium button, or you can go inside the browser or the expert and click the action button, or you can also open the Object Sky exit directly in the root directory. What are the highlights? The highlights are it's strongly interactive with the object tracker. So if an object tracker, you set a specific object, the object is also centered in Object Sky. And also in the other way, if you click here in Object Sky on an object or on a star, then this object is set in Object Tracker. Also a nice feature is the possibility that all CCD-Guide objects can be displayed here. And you have also access to the data of the objects and of the image data. You can see here in the object information window. We will have a look in detail then in the live presentation. So I have to mention that I show in the PowerPoint now only a quite rudimentary overview of the features. We will have enough time to go in detail on all features in the live demonstration. And in the live demonstration, there's also a lot of room for questions, and we can have also a detailed look at the questions. Yes, what are also very nice is that we have access to all current comments. We will also look at this feature in the live presentation. Then the improvements in the expert, there are several smaller improvements, but some nice improvements which help in the daily work with the expert. The first one is a quick filter extension. So for those who are using the quick filter, for searching the table here, there is now also a possibility to use the operators or and the logical operators. In this example, you have Chile or Namibia. We are searching for these two words, and the table is searched for this and filtered. And you can use both or and. Then object viewer is now the new image viewer. If you double click on an image inside Expert, then as image viewer, the object viewer opens. This has some advantages, especially if you're working with word coordinate system, plate solved images, then the object viewer has advantages. Then there are also some assistance in error protection during data entry. For example, if you're editing a data row, then you always get a hint that the data are not saved. You have to save it if you want to save it. These are some small features, but very useful features. And also the marking of planar data sets with reference image. For those who use the reference image for explanation, we have here for the data row a field of view image. The field of view image, FOV image, shows the field of view which you are planning to photograph. And the ref image is an image for reference. And if you do not have on each data row a reference image, you cannot see it here, but now it's marked with a plus that you can see it at any time. But we have a look at the features then in detail, then it's better to explain than here in the PowerPoint. Then Object Tracker has a complete new locations editor. If you want to edit a location, it's quite easy. You have here a table of all locations which you have created. And the blue data row is always the active location. You can simply change latitude, longitude, or whatever, and also the horizon. If you enable the horizon edit here, then you can also change the horizon of your location. Then a very nice feature in Object Tracker is the access to planets and comets. You can, especially comets is very interesting. We have here in the browse window, for those who are not familiar with browse, you click here this button, the browse button, and then you have here a new catalog, the comets catalog. And here all comets, actual comets are visible. You can sort it by magnitude, and then you can choose the best comet for your location for the night which you are planning to observe. Then there's a new report feature in the Object Tracker. If you're inside the browse image, you can click here. You see these two buttons, CSV and TXT. You can create a report. The report gives you an overview on all objects which you have selected here and suggests the best objects for the observation. In this example, we are at the location Namibia in May 2023, and the best object is Sandquist 7 with a total observation duration of over 9 hours from the list of 29 objects. And this is also a quite nice feature. What is new in Object Marker? Object Marker has the possibility to load and to save profiles. A profile is a summary of all settings in Object Marker. So you can create settings for wide field images, or you can create settings for long focal length images. You can save it and you can load it. And how does it work? You in the Object Marker, we have the file menu. In the file menu, you can load profile. You see all existing profiles. And in this example, we choose long focal. And if you choose it, then you will see in the Object Marker, then here the profile is long focal, and all settings are done for the long focal length images. We will also look at in the live presentation at this feature. Then Object Marker have an improved color selection. So it's now easier to select the color. And if you have selected it, you get also more feedback. You see the name of the color and the RGB values. Object Viewer gives you the possibility to show also multiple images. You can see it here in the screenshot that here are three different images, and each image can be zoomed and panned for its own. So you can switch between the images. It's also quite useful. And of course, the distance measurement is a quite nice feature. In the options, you can activate the measure distance, and then you simply click with the right button on the first object, the right button on the second, and then you get, as a result, the distance in arc minutes or in degrees, depending, of course, of the scale of the image. Okay, this was now a short overview of the new things, and we will go now in detail in the live demonstration. But first, are there some questions already at this point? Everything clear? Then I would start now with the live demonstration. And I go outside of the PowerPoint and move now to the Windows Explorer, and we start first also with installing CCD-Guide, because this is also a critical step for first-time users, especially often some virus scanners makes problems, and I want to show some tips what you can do that the virus scanners do not make so much problems. Some background information. Of course, we virus scan our software. It's checked, it's tested, and we are very, very sure that there are no virus inside. But we are not a professional company, and so virus scanners, of course, they think that there could be a virus inside, and this is the reason why some virus scanners make an alert, and the alert is always a fails alert. But I want to show you what can you do that the virus scanners work well with CCD-Guide. We have here downloaded the CCD-Guide zip file, which you get. This is the 36 megabyte big zip file. The first thing is go to the right button. And sorry, I have here a German Windows system, but I think you know what you have to do in an English system. You go to Properties here. And in the properties, you find at the bottom a security checkbox. And this security checkbox have to be checked. We accept it. And this is the first step where you can make the life easier with CCD-Guide working on a laptop or on a PC. Click OK. And then we have to extract CCD-Guide into a new folder. And first, let's create the new folder. I created here on the D drive new folder, and we name it CCD-Guide 2023, for example. And the next step would be, if you have a problem with virus scanner, that you exclude this new folder from the scan from the virus scanner. So there are some tips on our FAQ page how you can do it if you're not familiar with your virus scanner, but if you have problem, you can ask us how to do it. It's a quite easy step, and if you do it, then CCD-Guide is excluded from the virus scan. I've already done it here on my system, and now let's extract the temporary file, the zip file here. We extract it into our new folder, so we extract it to the CCD-Guide 23. This is our new folder. Here we want to extract it. So it's extracted and it's opened, and here we can find how now our extracted CCD-Guide. We have the subfolders, and you can find here on the root all application, all exe files. And the exe file, which is really important for us, is only the CCD-Guide exe. This is the file which we want to start first. So a double click. First, they're running some initial procedures. This is only for the first time of usage. Then this is done, and now our window is here. Okay, we can move the window at any position you like. The window remembers the position at the next start. What is also important is to mention, if you click the auto start here, then CCD-Guide automatically starts if you boot the PC the next time. It's also a very nice feature. And what I really like is to check here the pin. It's a stay on top a pin. If you check it, then CCD-Guide stays always on top. So if you, for example, I want to activate this, the PowerPoint, the CCD-Guide always stays on top. Yes, what's else to mention for CCD-Guide? We start, of course, the browser. This is the first step for downloading the images. And if you start the browser, I've already mentioned, then not only the browser window appears, but also the image downloader automatically. And you simply click here Start, then the download starts. One image after each image is downloaded. We have 6,370 images to download, and you can see how it works. We can pause the download, you can close it, and you can reopen it with File Start Image Downloader at any time and continue the process. You can also close the browser and restart. So it's quite easy. You can do it in the background. So this is the download process. You can see here then also already the images which are downloaded. Okay, that's the download process. Then let's have a look at the update process. What you can see here now is an I symbol. The I symbol tells you that an update is there. The update is for CCD-Guide 2023 second package update, and you have to run the update exe. How does it work? You simply go to the utilities, and in the utilities you find here the update, and we click update, and we have, of course, update available. Click the update button, and then the update is running. The files are downloaded, and when it's finished, then we get the message that the update is complete. It's completed. Okay, we can close the window, and now we can see in the CCD-Guide window that the I symbol disappears. It disappeared, and this is now we have done the update. Okay, then I will close now CCD-Guide because I want to switch to my personal CCD-Guide installation. In my personal installation, I have, of course, many images, my personal images, objects, planning, and so on. And we can work. Also, Object Tracker has locations, so it's easier to show some functions in my personal CCD-Guide installation. So I go to CCD-Guide and start here the CCD-Guide exe. And now we are working in my personal CCD-Guide installation. So first of all, we start the browser. And of course, now the image downloader will not start because all images are already downloaded. For those who are new to CCD-Guide, some words to the browser. You have here the data table with some information, some data of the image. And here you can see some preview images, and you can browse through the table and have a look at the data and the image at the same time. Then let's start the expert. The browser and expert can, of course, opened in parallel. The expert gives you the possibility to make a planning list of your objects. You can input your own objects. You can input images, things like that. So it's more for the expert who are really using CCD-Guide in more depth. Then the help button is also quite a good function. You have a very fast access to the manual. You can open here the manual, have a look at the manual. You have access at the FAQs from CCD-Guide.com. And you have also for the video tutorials access. And I have mentioned that if you look at the video tutorials and you scroll down to the bottom of the page, you find here the online presentations from the last year, 2022, and from 2021. And for those who are new to CCD-Guide, I recommend looking at the CCD-Guide presentation 2022. Here you get an overview on all features of CCD-Guide. Okay, then let's go back to the object tracker. We start the object tracker. The object tracker gives you an overview when answers the question when you can observe an object in a specific night. In this case, we have M42 at my home location in Nussbach this night, and you can see when you can observe this object. Object marker is our tool where you can plate solve your own images and also annotate the images. Yes, and to mention, you can move each image, each application at the position where you like it. You can change the size of each application, and if you close it, it remembers the position and the size. At the next start, you will find it again. I have to mention that I'm working here on my laptop. My screen is limited. If I work on my main PC where you have a big monitor, a dual monitor setup, then of course I can arrange the windows on different places, and then it's of course easier to use it. But it's possible to use it also on a small screen, because you can very fast switch between the application. You can switch from the browser to the expert, to the object marker, to the object tracker. And so it's also possible to use it quite efficiently on a small laptop. What I want to show also is now the color scheme. So if you change the color scheme to black, you can see here that the object marker is black, object tracker is black, browser is black, also object view is black. Okay, we have not started it already, but it's the same. Only the expert is not included in the color scheme, but all other applications can be switched between dark scheme and bright scheme. Okay, then let's first start now with the browser. What's new in the browser? Before we start with the new features, also a little explanation for those who are new to CCD-Guide. I have already explained, we have here an active data row. This is ABEL 1314-002. And on the top, you can see the preview images. And you can move from one to the other. And for example, we double click on this image. We are interested in this image. You simply double click on it. Then Object Viewer opens, and you can zoom here inside the image. You can analyze the image. And what is also very nice, the left mouse button, you can see here the position, can analyze position and get a magnifier. And if you're interested in a specific object, you can simply click on it for 1 or 2 seconds. Then a SIMPAD opens, and you get here information about this object. It's NGC 3861. This is this galaxy, and you get a lot of information. So it's really nice for searching for information about objects which you can find in images. Let's go back to the browser. What is also a very important feature in the browser is, of course, the possibility to filter the images. You find here the total number of images which are inside CCD-Guide. Here we can find 4,977 images, and we want to reduce the number of images to find images which you're interested in. For example, you're searching for a specific object, then we put in here the object name, for example, M20. Then you get only the images where you can find M20 in the image, and these are 25 images. You can have a look at these images, for example, by using the slideshow button. Click here, and the images are presented in form of a slideshow. Or you can also use the preview panel. If you click here, then all images are presented as preview panel. You can go through the preview panel, and if you're interested in a specific image, you simply click on it and close the preview panel, and then you have access to all data of this specific image.
Bernard, may I interrupt?
Yes, please.
Just to explain, we have less than all images stored because we selected only the active image, not the archived image.
Yes.
Yeah, just to explain why the number of all images shown here is less than explained before. You
Yes.
said we have over 6,000, but these are only the active images.
Yes, we have here now only the 25 images. If you reset the filter, then we have 4,977, and there are also some archive images. This is for specialists. They really want to have, we have even more images in the background. So these are older images which are done if you do some researches for very old images from the beginning of the CCD area, then you can also download these images. So this
and the database master, there must be another option. When you click database.
Yes, of course, you have to change. But I want to show only the basic features now, because if you want to show everything, then the time would run away. So I want to come to the new features. But thanks for the input, Hartmut. What is very important is also for me that you have here the main switch. We are now looking at the images. So we have the 4,977 images, but you can switch to the objects from image browser mode to object. Now you can see here we have 36,000 data sets, because now we are looking at the objects, not on the images, but on all objects. And inside the object, you can, of course, search also for some text, for Holmberg text, for example. If you're searching for Holmberg galaxies, you put in here Holmberg, and you will find all objects with Holmberg names. These are the 9 Holmberg galaxies. You can select all the Holmberg galaxies selected, and you will find here now we have 9 objects, the 9 Holmberg objects. And now we can go also through the objects. You see some objects have an image, some objects do not have image. Because of course, not all objects have already reference images. We're working on this project to get images of all objects, but of course, this is not the case at the moment. For example, you're interested in UGC 4841. We have no image of this. You have different possibility to get information about this object. You could switch to the web mode, but now we use the SkyMap button, for example. You click here, and then you get the SkyMap image exactly of this position of this galaxy, and you can see, yes, this looks like a nice galaxy. This is something which I could photograph. But you can go back also to the browser and have a look in the planetarium. You can use the action button and click the planetarium in Object Sky. Why is it here Object Sky? Because in the options, here's the options window, you find here at the planetarium section that we have choose Object Sky. You could change it also if you like. If you want to have here the sky or a stellarium or whatever, then you can change it here. But we want to have it here at Object Sky because this is the planetarium where we want to have a look at. So let's go out from the options, and we have here now the object UGC 4841, and we want to go to the planetarium. The planetarium Object Sky opens, and it is centered on UGC 4841. We have to wait a little bit, and you can see here the galaxy. You can see it's a northern galaxy. This is the planetarium. You can zoom out, of course, can zoom in. You get already some information from the database, and of course, no image because there is no image there, but you know now where it's positioned. We will go then later in detail of the features of the Object Sky, but let's have a look first at the expert. So the expert have also some new features. We are looking at the planar data row here. And in the planar data row, you can see my personal planning. I have a very huge planning. I have more than 2,000 objects which I want to capture or which I have already captured with a specific telescope camera combination. And of course, you can reduce the number of data sets by filtering using the classical filters, but also by using, for example, the quick filter. And we change the quick filter, and here you can put in some text which you want to find. For example, Chile, then you find here 346 objects which contains the word Chile somewhere inside the dataset. The same example, Namibia, you will find here 193 datasets. And now we can combine these two search words. You can combine it by the logical operators. So you can choose here, for example, Chile plus Namibia. So that means both words have to be inside the dataset. And so we have only 4 datasets where we have the word Chile and Namibia inside. We can also go the other way. We could also say, okay, we want to search for Chile or Namibia. Then you will see, okay, there's much more. We have 535 datasets, of course, because we have a mixture, a combination of both of Chile and Namibia. Then let's go through the datasets here and have a look at the ref image. So we have here the field of view image. Most of my datasets have a field of view image. I use it very often. You can open it here, and this is the image from skymap.org, and you find the field of view exactly as it looks, which I want to capture with my setup. And in the ref image section here, I do not have a reference. You can put here a reference image if you like, but I do not often use the reference. Mostly I use only the field of view, but sometimes also reference image. And if I go now through the different data sets, then there is one here, it comes with a plus. And this means if I go here, here's also a reference image. I have a look at the reference image, double click, and this is an image from the web, and to get an idea how this object could look like. So the reference makes sense if it's a special object where it's not so clear if this is an attractive object. If you look at the field of view image, for example, double click it, you find here it's not so good resolved, of course, from the skymap.org database. Okay, then what I wanted to show you also is if you edit a data set here, for example, you put in some new things, then you get an hint that you are working on the data set, the data not saved. If you want to save it, you have to click the save, that you don't forget it. It's also a small nice feature which helps in daily work. Okay, then these are the things which are new in the expert. Let's go back to the object name filter and put in here example M45, the Pleiades, and I have here 4 images, and we can use here also in the expert the new object sky planetarium. So if we put here now the planetarium button, then always the same planetarium is open, which is set in the browser options. And in this case, it's Object Sky. So if you click the button, then Object Sky opens and you have centered on M45. Now we are inside the Object Sky, and we can go more in detail in the features of Object Sky. So let's start first. Here we have the object information window. And it's also useful to pin it here to stay on top. Then you can have always a look at the object information window if you like. First of all, what I have to mention is that the object sky interacts with the object tracker very intensively. And it's a very nice feature. If you look here, for example, to the location, you find a lot of locations already inside, and the locations comes from the object tracker. So you create your locations inside the object tracker, and Object Sky already knows all locations and also the horizons. So this is a very nice function. And also date and time is also coming from the object tracker, and also the object comes from object tracker. So let's have a look at the object tracker, what object tracker tells us. Object tracker, we put here, for example, the object M42. Then, of course, it's set here. And we have the location Nussbach, my home location, and the night tonight. And if you go then to the object sky, you can see here we have M42, and we have on the title, you can find here Nussbach is the location, and we have tonight is set. So we have the same settings compared to object tracker. And if you make a change now in object tracker, it's always actualized. It's always updated. So if we have here M78, for example, then it's updated in the object tracker, of course, but also in the object sky. You can here find an update. Let's zoom in a little bit. And you will find here a point where a lot of objects appear. I will explain it later. This is a point. If you zoom in a lot, then you get many objects. We zoom further in here. You can also pan a little bit. You can, if you move the mouse over the object, you get the name of the object. And here you get the name is DG82. And if you click on it, then you get information about the object in the object information window. But you can also go into the object tracker, and you'll find DG82 is also set here, and the curve is also set here. So it goes in both directions. So if you click on an object inside object sky, the object tracker gets the information. And also in the other way around, if you put in here a new object, object sky gets the information and is centered. So this is a quite useful feature. But if you do not like it, or you have some special application where you do not want to have this interactivity, you can also deactivate it in the menu communication here. You have here two checkboxes: accept objects from other programs or send objects to other programs. And if you deactivate these two checkboxes, then Object Sky is a standalone planetarium, and the Object Tracker is also a standalone application. But for our presentation, we let it here. We want to have the interactivity because it makes sense. Okay, then let's go out, zoom out a little bit. Okay, I see there's a chat. I look in the chat. Okay. Okay, yes, of course, we have the recording, and we will put the recording online tomorrow. Okay, bye, Max. Okay, I go a little bit outside. And you can see here there's a point where the object disappears. And this is something you can change. You simply go to the catalogs menu. You can here control which objects are displayed and which are not. First of all, here we have all catalogs which CCD-Guide knows. You can none of the catalogs are activated here at the moment. But why are objects visible? Because of this checkbox here. Show all objects for field of view below 30 degrees. That means if you zoom in and you zoom below the 30-degree field of view, then all objects are visible. You can change it. You can also deactivate this option, or you can make the field of view smaller as you like. I think it's a quite useful function, because if you zoom in a specific region, you always want to see everything which CCD-Guide knows. The next thing is you can activate here catalogs. For example, we activate the Messier catalog. Go back, and then you will see here the Messier objects visible. Sometimes the stars are a little bit too much information for me personally. I prefer to deactivate the stars. You can see here in the menu that you can deactivate also other objects. You can choose what you want to see. In this case, we deactivate the stars, and then you see, okay, it's easier to see where we have our Messier objects. We have here Messier 45, of course, Messier 35, and so on. Okay, and let's also you can change the time. We could go a little bit to the direction of the morning. You can see, okay, what's going on there. We can go back. This is also possible. You can always see what's going on with the horizon here. Let's zoom a little bit here to the southern constellations, to M41. Click on it. Then, of course, we get information of M41, but we can also have a look at the object tracker and have a look on the, I close now the object information window to see a little bit more here. You can see here M41 is not a very good object for my location. On the first, it's quite low, and also the horizon limits here my observation, so not so a good object. Let's go back to Object Sky, choose an object, a Messier object, a little bit more to the north, for example, M50. And M50, go back to Object Tracker. You can see M50 is much better. This is an object which I could capture this night. Let's go back now to the Object Sky on the information, what you can see in M50. M50 is, you get here some information of the from the CCD-Guide database about the object, when is also the rise, when it arises, when is the transit, and so on, and also information about the images of the CCD-Guide database. You can see here the first image, M50001 by Günther Kerschuber. You can have a look at all information from the CCD-Guide database. You can double click on it and also zoom in, can analyze the images, can use the left mouse button to magnify it and to get some coordinates. You have all features available here. And of course, you can have a look also at the other images, not also the first one. You can use this arrow buttons here. Have a look at the second image. It's one of mine images. The third image, the fourth image by Markus Blauensteiner. Maybe this looks interesting. We are double clicking on it and can analyze it. You can see here M50, and it's a very deep image showing not only the star cluster, but also some interesting emission or reflection velocity here in the field. And now the question arises, this looks like an interesting nebula here. Let's click on it. And then you get simpered and can do some object research at what nebula could this be. But it's better to ask CCD-Guide for the nebula. It's easier. And in this case, we answer this question by clicking on the Object Sky, because Object Sky knows this information. If we zoom here now, click on M50 and we center it, zoom in, and you can see here now that we see all other objects, all objects which CCD-Guide knows. This is M50, and we know that here, this is the unknown objects, it's VDB 87. And we have here data of VDB 87, but no image in the database. But now we know what's the name of this object. Okay, what else could we do? We could have a look into the expert and export our personal planning list and have a look at this list in Object Tracker and in Object Sky. This is a function more for a specialist, but a very useful function. I will show it and explain it in detail. Let's first move away the object information window. We reset here the filter and have now my personal planning 2000 data sets. I want to reduce it because I want to select one of the 2000 objects which I want to observe in this night, tonight. How can I do it? First, I make with set filter a reduction of the possible objects. I want to observe with one of my setups, with my Newtonian telescope, with my QSIS 6060 camera, and I want to change the state. I want to have a look only on objects where image is missing. Only these are interesting. We set the filter, and we see now it's reduced to 673 objects, but it's always too much. We go back to the set filter, change the constellation to Orion, for example, set filter, and now we get 24 objects. This is a number of objects which is acceptable. We can search inside these 24 objects for the object which is interesting for this night. And now we have the button Export OT. If you push this button, then the list of 24 objects is exported in a catalog in the planner catalog, CCD planner catalog, and object tracker opens with these objects. We do it, we click on it, and now you can see here the browse window and the object tracker window. I put the browse window to the little bit to the bottom that you can see it better. You can see here now that in the browse window we have all catalogs, and selected it the CCD planner catalog, and it contains 24 objects. These are exactly the same objects which we have chosen before in the expert. And now the idea is that you click on the first object and you can see here the observation window. And if you move now through this list, you can see from each object the observation window, and then you can decide which of the object is the best one which you want to observe. This is one strategy how you can use it. But another strategy is also using Object Sky. You can go directly inside Object Sky. Let's zoom out a little bit where the catalogs disappear. And now we can have a look at the catalogs. And we select none of the catalogs selected, and choose only the CCD planner catalog. And if you select this one, then you will see now we have only objects in Orion, and these are 24 objects. These are the objects which I have in my personal to-do list for Orion. Let's zoom in a little bit, move it a bit out to the top, and now you can move the mouse over the objects, and these are the objects which I have, which I am planning. And there are also some classical objects like VDB 35, but also some exotic object like the unlisted Kronberger reflection nebula. This is an object which is not in the CCD-Guide database, but this is an object which I have for my personal planning created in the expert in Edit Object. And so you can click on the object, and what you see here always that the object tracker makes an update, and the object tracker shows you the observation window. So this is also a strategy, and of course, if you want to choose an object which is very good visible, of course, on the more in the northern, the better. The open cluster should be one of the best objects, of course. Then the observation window is very, very big, because you can start directly when the twilight ends, and you can observe it until the moon rises. So I have a look at the chat. There's some activity. Okay, another Patrick have to move. Okay, thanks. Okay, this is what I wanted to show you, how you can use the CCD planner catalog with Export OT. Then the next really interesting feature inside Object Sky is, of course, the feature of planning of planets and comets. If you're searching for a planet, you can simply put in here in the find. Of course, you can search for object, for classical object M35. It's centered, of course, but you can also search for planets like Mars. It's centered. And you can search also for comets. And if you do not know the comet name, which you're interested in, you simply go to the catalog section and have here the comets list button. If you click on it, you get a list of all comets, and the comets are sorted by brightness. So this is the brightest one, and this is the comet which I'm interested in. It's C2020 E3, the actual comet, and you can see it's here. We are looking at midnight. Of course, it's below horizon. If you want to know when it's above horizon, you simply go in the timeline towards the morning, and you can see, okay, this is the point where it's rising, and I can start observing at 4 a.m. And of course, you can also go back to the object tracker. Here, find also the comet, and you can see, okay, the comet is visible in the morning, but you do not have an observation window. Why? Because the moon is also in the sky, and the moon has more than 50% illumination, and so maybe you have to wait some days. In 2 days, the comet shows an observation window, because then the illumination is below 30%. Okay, then this is the comets feature. Yes, but you can use also the comets feature using only object tracker. I want to show this also. You can close object sky. And this is also a fast way to have an overview on the comets. I close also the browse, that you can have a look how it works from scrap. We are starting from for this night tonight. And you want, the question is, I have heard in this night a comet is visible. I do not know which comet, what is the name, the brightness, where can I find it? Can I capture it at my location? And I can answer this question very, very easily. Simply open Object Tracker, click on the Browse button. The browse window opens. Select the comets catalog. Click on the magnitude, so then the brightness is sorted. And then you can go from one object to the next and looking at which comet is available at my location. The first one is not available. The second one is available, but is not good because the moon. The third one, okay, this has an observation window. So the third comet can be captured at my location. The fourth one, not. The fifth one, also not available. The sixth one is again available. And you can see also the magnitude, and you can decide, yes, this makes sense. I want to capture this comet, or I do not, or the example above, the C2020 E3 comet, the actual comet, I have to wait. I want to capture especially this, but not in this night, but in 2 nights or in 3 nights, then an observation window is there. So this is the idea how I can really fast have a look at the comet, and even can go further. I can say, okay, my horizon is not very good here. I can change my location. I can say, okay, I do not want to capture it in Nussbach, but I want to capture it, for example, in La Palma, and maybe they have a better possibility because the horizon always is updated. Okay, that is the function which I wanted to show you here. Now let's go to the Object Tracker and have a look at the other new features inside Object Tracker. For this, we have first a look at the edit location feature. This is a completely new possibility to edit locations. We have here the list of all locations. In my case, you have here 2 locations for Nussbach, 1 Telescope, La Palma, Namibia. These are my locations, and you can simply choose one, edit the numbers, and have a look at the horizon. Let's have a look at an example what do we have to do if I want to have a new location? I click the new button. Then I put in here the location name. I want to have the location Garberg. This is the position of our local astronomy club where we have our observatory. I could put in here latitude, longitude, but it's even easier. I can choose Google to ask where the latitude and longitude is. It's a quite easy possibility. I put in here the search for Garberg, and he will find it here. I can activate the satellite image, and then I move here to Sternwarte Garberg, Observatory Garberg. And now this is our astronomy club observatory. You come here with the car, and maybe you only a visitor here. You want to place your car here and want to observe here. The question is, okay, what is the horizon? I click here and take the coordinates. And if I go back now to the object tracker, the location window, the coordinates are already exactly here. Then level over sea is 800 meters, and the time zone is Central European. And I click save, and I have already my location here included, but no horizon at the moment. What is the next step? I could enable horizon edit, and I can use the left mouse button to put here some object of the horizon, because I know to the south there is a shell of the dome of the observatory, and I put in here my horizon. And this is something which you can use then. For locations in Austria, there's a possibility to get also an automatic location, but this is only a feature for Austria. For the most of your users, you have to put in here your horizon as you know it here. If you click save, then the horizon is saved and can be used. Let's go out here and have a look at this new location. We change now the location to Garberg. And you can see here now, and we have an example. We want to capture, for example, M42. And you see here now, this is the horizon. This is our dome to the south. And it's not so good for M42. I can capture it only on a very, very small observation window. Is not a good object. Let's try M44. Looks much better. This is an excellent object. The object rises over the dome, and I can capture it on the full observation window. So it's a quite easy way to decide if a specific object makes sense at the specific location. Then let's have a look at the new function of the report. This is also a nice feature because you know here we deactivate the comments and go back to the CCD planner. We have our 24 objects in Orion which I want to capture.
Did it come out?
Sorry, was there a question?
No, it's okay.
Okay. Okay. Now you could go through the objects one by one and see which object is above the dome and which is not working here. But you can decide, you can answer this question much more easily if you simply click on the report button. The report TXT button will you need some seconds, and then you get a list of the objects, and the best object is selected first. So if you go here to the list, you will find the best object is Open Cluster Berkeley 21 because it is available for 8 hours. Also Sharpless 266 is available for 8 hours, and so on. And if you go down the list, there's a point where you do not reach the objects, or they are very small observation window because of the dome. And this is the idea. You choose the object which you have the best observation window. Okay, then let's close it. then these are the features of the object tracker. We are moving now to object marker. What's new in object marker? I have already mentioned here the possibility to use profiles. If you look here at the file, at the moment we have no profile because I haven't created already a profile, but we want to create profiles now. The first thing, we want to create the profile for long focal lengths. So we put in here the name long focal, and then the profile long focal is activated. And all settings which we are changing now are automatically saved in the active profile in the long focal profile. Let's look at an example image, which is good for this long focal example. We search in the image browser for the object M50 because we are already familiar with M50. We have here 8 images of M50. And if we look at M50-001, you can see, okay, this is an image with a long focal length. And this image is what we want to use in the object marker. We have it here, and we could simply click the View button and have a look how it looks like if it's annotated. And you can see the annotation looks okay. We have here the object M50. We have the additional name NGC 2323 shown. We have a grid shown. And this is the setting in the object marker because here we have filter set to all. That means all object names should be shown. We have all catalogs activated. We have no restriction to the minimum diameter of the object. And we have in options paint grid option activated. So all settings are saved in the long focal profile. And this is okay for us. But go to another example. Let's have a look at a wide field image. We go to the browser, go back, and look at the image above. The image above is IC2177. It's a wide field image. It contains also M50 here on the top, but it's a wide field image. We have the same experiment. Let's go back to the object marker. And now we have the image here in the object marker, and simply click View with the long focal settings of the profile, just to see what happens. And what will happen? Of course, a lot of objects are visible, a lot of grid lines are visible, and this is too much. This doesn't make sense in object annotation like this. And of course, we have to create a new profile for wide field images. How can I do it? The first step is not to change it now, because everything which I change now would go in the long focal profile. The first step is to save a wide field profile. So we go here and save profile as wide field. Now profile wide field is set, and now we can make changes because all changes are saved in wide field. The first change is we will make the filter to prime ID. That means only the main object name is shown, not the secondary designations are shown. The second restriction is show not all objects, but only objects which have a size, a diameter which is bigger than 20 arc minutes. And the second is we go to options and we deactivate paint grid because the grid is too much in this case for wide fields. Okay, and with these settings, we can click the View button. And then you can see, okay, this looks much better. We have here now not so much objects. We have no grid lines, and this is a useful setting. Let's go back to the browser. For a last example, we choose the M50-004 image, put it to the object marker. Again, we want to have a view, but the wide field setting is now active. What happens? Okay, we have only one object annotated, this is not good. It's better we use the long focal length setting. How can I do it? It's quite easy now. I go back to the object marker and simply change the load profile from wide field to long focal. And now again, I click view with the new settings. And now I should have much more information because I have the long focal length settings. Okay, so a quite nice feature if you really want to annotate images with very different focal lengths, then it makes sense to create profiles. Then this is the feature in the object marker. Let's now move to the last new feature in the object viewer. The object viewer can show you different images at the same time. You can see here M51, M54, M51 again, and we can here zoom in, move around, and the pan and zoom is always remembered, and this is a quite nice feature to have more open. And in each of the images, you always can use the magnifier and get coordinates, which all are very interesting. If you have a lot of object research work, it is a quite useful possibility here. And also what is a nice possibility is the possibility to measure distances. For example, we want to know the distance from this nebula here to M50. Then simply go to the options, activate the measure distance function, then use the right mouse button, first click, second click, and you get here the click distance. The distance is 44 arc minutes between M50 and VDB 87. Okay, I think I'm now finished with the features. I go back to the presentation, to the last slide. The last slide, of course, is how can you buy CCD-Guide? If you not have it already, you can go to ccd-guide.com. The standard price in the web shop is for the download 29 euros. And if you have an update, if you have already bought CCD-Guide previously, then the download price is 19 euros. I hope I could give you some information, some tips of CCD-Guide 2023. Do you have some questions concerning the software, the usage, or some ideas, tips, whatever, feedback? You are welcome to ask me anything you like.
I have a quick question.
Yes, please.
As far as the Comet database, does that get updated often, or how does that work? Okay,
the Comet database, a good question. The Comet database, I go back to the object sky. Oh, no, I have not opened it here. That Comet database is updated on a weekly basis, and it's automatically done. So you do not have to do anything. If you, it's okay for you that a weekly update is enough. It's usually enough. Then you do not have to do nothing and just open it, and it's always up to date. You can change it. One option you can change here, which is interesting, the Comet data. The standard is MPC from Minor Planet Center. These are the official data of the comets, but the brightness of the comets are often not perfect because they are not updated on a regular basis on the Minor Planet Center. There's an alternative from Van Buitenen. He delivers more actual comet brightnesses because it's based on observations by amateur astronomers. And I prefer to choose Van Buitenen. And then if you go to the object tracker, to the browse window, then you find in the comets the brightnesses from Van Buitenen, which are more realistic. But your question, how often is it updated? It's on a weekly basis updated.
I would have another question. I saw the telescope button on the planetary
Yes.
program. Could you comment on that
Yes.
feature?
Yes. The telescope button is not a connection to the telescope, but it's the idea to show the field of view of a telescope. So if, for example, we zoom in here let's have a look at the object M42, for example, zoom in, and you want to know the field of view. We put in here also the stars, then it's a little more realistic. So, and you can change here the scale, the pixels, the focal length, and also the rotation. And if you show view frame, then you will see it. And then you can zoom in and you can see, okay, this is your field of view. This is the idea behind the telescope. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Other questions? Let's have a look in the chat. The chat is also okay. Yes, if everything is clear, then I stop now the screen sharing. Go back to the Zoom menu, and yes, I have to say thank you for your attention, and hope that you have fun with CCD-Guide. If you have some questions, you can ask us. We are always try to ask you questions in time. And yes, just to say, have fun with CCD-Guide, and hope to see you next year and at the same place. Okay. Bye.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye.